Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on yet another episode of the podcast. And today we're going to be having a conversation around finance. Finance meets agriculture, specifically building sustainable value chain. And we have a phenomenal guest with us today in the studio. We have Lady Nancy Olisakwe. Uh, we are going to be having this interaction with her. And so before we start out, I would like to sort of read out her bio so you get to completely understand and know who she is and know that she's a subject matter specialist to gear this conversation today. So, Lady Nancy Olisakwe is a versatile finance professional with extensive expertise in clearing and settlement, project management, financial operations, strategic leadership. She has led transformative projects in fintech, commodity sector, including the Strategic Grain Reserve Project in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria, which successfully aggregated and distributed over 200,000 metric tons of maize nationwide. She's an alumna of Stanford University Lead Program, Lagos Business School, and the University of Jos. Nancy is also a certified project manager and process trainer. Her leadership experience spans across optimizing high volume accounting operations, managing over 200,000 annual transactions, and leading over a team of over 50 plus professionals. Nancy is passionate about social impact, women empowerment, as she is also the founder of Smart Nation, a platform dedicated to personal growth, professional development, and community building for women. Without further ado, Lady Nancy, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Osa. Thank you. Such a
Yeah,
great
it's also
pleasure.
thank you. It's such a delight to have you here. Come share your expertise with us on the podcast today. Okay,
Thank you.
so we'll jump right into the questions. And my very first question to you this morning is, from your experience, what are some of like the biggest financial bottlenecks you've sort of seen across the agricultural value chain, and what do you think can be done to help, sort of sort this out?
Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share my knowledge with the other audience and other key market players in the industry. So in the agri space, there are lots of opportunities that avail the key players from the pre-planting to harvest and also to those who are into the industrial processing. I'm talking about the mills and all. But
Yeah.
however, there are lots of challenges, that faces the key players in the sector. Down the value chain where the farmers are, the major challenge they face is lack of access to loan facilities. This
Very
is
true.
because the average farmer actually produces, but then he does not have access to collateral. And also
Yeah.
another key factor is that the interest rates are very, very high.
Yeah.
When you compare the cost of farming and compared to what the output is, and
Mhm.
also with the current prices of the sale they are making in the market, you find out that they have a huge bottleneck there. The cost benefit analysis doesn't align. Another thing is the way that they operate, the location where they operate is usually in the rural areas, right? And some of them
Mhm.
are not accessing the main banking activities. So you see that their activities are off the banking sector. They are
True. True.
trading or they are transacting off the banking sector. So they lack to some extent credit history. So
Mm.
because traditional banks actually see them as unbankable because of the lack of collateral. They see them as
Mm.
high risk sector. So in a bid to limit their exposure, they try to avert giving access to the farmers. So those are some of the challenges the farmers face, and also price fluctuation. That's one
Mm.
of the key issues they're having, and we'll discuss more about the price fluctuation as we go through this discussion this morning.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. At least I've learned today that people need to have sort of bank history to be able to sort of access certain level of finances to help them in their agricultural endeavor. So my next question at this time is: can you sort of maybe share um, like a real life example of where optimizing financial processes directly increase profit for farmers and even agribusiness?
Okay. So one of the other challenges farmers face is access to market. And in effect, for example, we've got a market platform that enables farmers to have access to the wider market. Most of the farmers operate in the local rural area, so most times the pattern is they have the produce, they go to the weekly market, which is only open once in a week. They go to
Mm,
sell, and there the buyers actually have a way of playing their cards and ensuring that once it's evening, they just drop the price because you're forced to sell or you have to pay for logistics again to take your inventory back home. So the advantage that technology has brought in is the fact that the farmer does not need to take their wares to the markets weekly. What they have access to now is a daily market, and they have
mm,
access to a wider audience, which creates some sort of network effect for them. So they are not constrained to sell at the market price in their locality. They are now sort of borderless. They are able to trade beyond their geographical location by leveraging on technology and leveraging on other platforms that we've made available for them. So they can even daily they can walk to the warehouse. The price is displayed in our warehouse because our warehouses are strategically located in areas where the farmers are. So on a
okay.
day-to-day basis, they can go check what's the price today. Is it okay for me? Do I want to sell or not? So they've got
Mm,
exposed options as against being constrained to that once in a week market. So by
oh, wow.
extension, they can actually take advantage of a price that is fair to them, and be able to improve their profitability as a result of that.
Wow, that's really great. Really, really great. Uh, so, from your own experience, what would you say supply chain management in agriculture sort of differs from other industry, and why does this require like a unique financial approach?
Okay, when it comes to the agricultural supply chain as compared to other sectors, the agricultural value chain is sort of a little bit fragmented, right? The key players are playing in a non-coordinated format, and which is why we need platform like AFEX because when we started operations, we started working around standardizing a lot of things. For example, when we started off, we had to partner with the likes of JICA, Standard
Mm,
Organization of Nigeria, or not to standardize the grade. Because what
okay.
happens is that the farmer sees his output as a grade A, but then when we kind of for them, the delivery gets to the ultimate buyer, that the feedback is that this grade A is not grade A. And then sometimes you see that the off-taker probably wants a short grain rice as against the long grain rice. So those kind of awareness helped us to structure who are the players that are interested in short grain rice, who are the players that are interested in the long grain rice. Well, is it
Yeah.
yellow maize they need, or is it maybe the white maize, and what do they use it for? So all of this
Mm,
work we had to because we had to bring in all the key players because we're creating a trust system. We didn't want a situation whereby one sector or one aspect of the value chain is suffering at the expense of other. So bringing in this kind of standardization really helped us to build the market that we've built today. But the truth about it is, up till today, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in also building the agricultural value chain as opposed to how it operates in the other organized value chain. Talking about how to build a network of stakeholders. Today, if you want something, let me say from the north, you're not
mm,
sure who you're speaking to. You're
yeah.
just probably going to end up going to the open market nearest to you. But what we've tried to do is to build an end-to-end kind of platform where the buyers can easily connect with the sellers, and eliminating. In fact, it has even improved price discovery for the farmers also, and also
Mm,
buyers too can actually leverage on the data on our platform to be able to make decisive decision, and also for us, the way we've built the market, a buyer who wants maybe 100,000 metric ton does not need to suffer, or send his
mm,
so much on per diems or spending on maybe workforce. The way the value chain is organized in our market is that it's very, very easy for you to be able to place order on the platform,
okay.
and whoever is able to leverage on the technology is able to quickly buy or place orders or make decisions that are critical for their operations.
Oh wow, that's really, really, really good. So
Yeah.
speaking of your platform, does
Yes.
financial transactions happen on that platform you just mentioned?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Oh wow, that's really good. So
Yeah.
takes me now to my next question. Just segues into my next question, which is, in what way can fintech solutions sort of reduce, let's say, post-harvest losses or even improve payment processes, turnaround time for farmers?
Okay. So, so one thing is, for most of the farmers at a time, they were unbankable because even do you know
Yes.
that a typical farmer's fingerprint is almost off, because of they use the shrewd implements to farm, so their
Yeah.
fingerprint is almost non-existent. Yeah, but we thank God for the fintechs today. And then when we started operations in 2014, most of the farming locations had maybe the banks nearest to them is maybe an hour away or so. You get, and sometimes their records were maybe in a paper form. They it wasn't traceable. There was no traceability of any source. So what
Mm,
these fintechs have done is now it has brought banking, especially talking about the banks, the fintech banks. Those ones have brought banking closer to the farmers. So you now see some of the farmers operating from their phone using maybe SMS or using whatever that is easier for them. Like the phone, the bank is, let me say, in their phone right now, so it has made transaction easy for them, because at the initials, I think 2014, what we had was maybe one farmer supporting 10 farmers. So you would have 10 farmers having nominated account that is attached to one person. And when we disburse funds for transactions they've delivered, you now find that there's always a reconciliation issue at the back end for them. So, but with
mm,
this new technology coming with fintech is that there's a privacy for you. You sell, you get your money in your wallet. There's no issues. And also what we did internally is that when we were building our in-house technology, we were able to, in fact, being at the beginning of working with FX from the beginning was actually very, very kind of Herculean because we had paper-based transaction, which was quite stressful, and sometimes you miss the digits. You know how you in accounting, they'll say there's error of commission, there's error of omission. So all
yeah.
of those were areas where that were possible. But we then built a platform where you can actually now, from the field, put up the transaction. Within seconds, it comes to head office for review. The accuracy is there, and also the credibility is there, and also it helps us to build like a faster payment cycle, because what
Yeah.
we now did again, we went ahead to integrate that platform with other fintechs. So
Okay.
what happens is that end to end for us at the back end, operations was easy because everything was end to end on technology. And
Yeah.
then another advantage is that the farmer gets their money in time. And that's
True.
a plus for the farmer, because if I can get my money in time, I can still go back to put the fund back into whatever I'm doing and be able to scale the business.
Fantastic. Fantastic. It's really good to know. I like the fact that that has also sort of helped with like transparency and credibility as regards the
Absolutely.
farmers. Yeah. So when you
Yeah,
started off, oh,
I was going to add also that there's this because we've been able to mirror and check what the issues farmers face, and I talked about access to quality storage, access
yeah,
to um, access to inputs, and access
yes,
to finance. So while
yeah,
building that, what we did is we were able to actually ensure that there's some level of traceability, and
okay,
also we're able to monitor when we're given the input loans. We're able to know which farmer is remitting, which farmer is not. We're able to track like the credit profile for
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
Um, that's the future.
Wow, that's really good. I like the traceability part and I also like the tracking part. It helps with accountability on both ends, which is really great. You know, when we started out this conversation, there was a part where you talked about farmers not being able to access finance because they didn't have like good credit history, right?
Yes.
So we're going to definitely talk about that a bit more now. Many farmers sort of lack access to like credits, right?
Yes.
So how can the value chain financing model sort of bridge that gap sustainably? You know,
Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to sustainable financing, you
yeah,
don't want to finance what today you have a good maybe a disbursement is fantastic, but then when it comes to recovery, you don't
mm,
have anything to um, as a business that is financing the farmers, you need to be able to have repeats, like increased turnover of your
yeah,
funds. Yes, so there are certain challenges that actually comes up in that space, like I talked about earlier. The interest rates. What is critical is that we need to be able to have source of financing that is actually in the form of blended financing, and having blended finance will actually help to it will help you to actually reduce the cost of financing. Like we checked today, the interest rates are extremely high. And if the rates are too high, there's a high likelihood that the repayment would be low. Because
yeah,
if I borrow at a maybe, let me say 25%, and maybe other costs in my economy, everything else now makes it worse for me. I am not able to repay because
yeah,
inflation is even on my cost of production.
yeah.
So there are different challenges that can happen there, but what's possible is providing access to blended finance. What that does is maybe you've got a grant option, you've got a banking option, you get maybe, let me say, even financing that is dedicated to the agri value chain, that is also maybe single digit financing. That would also really help. But also in the mix of all of this, we need a lot of policies that would really help in regulating or at least stabilizing the farming ecosystem, or let me say the agricultural value chain. So what I'm talking about policy is that, let's say, for example, last year maize started off at harvest at 650,000 naira per ton. Let's say for maize, currently
Mm,
it is set at 380,000 per ton per maize. The huge
that's like half
decline
the
in.
price.
Yes. So you can imagine a
Wow.
farmer who maybe bought inputs at a very high cost, paid for
Yeah,
labor at a very high cost, and today is forced to sell their maize at 380,000. Why? Because policy allowed importation. You get. So importation
mm,
would have been helpful if well structured in a different manner. But what we have today is that it has crashed the market, and the farmers have to bear the brunt of it because they
mm,
they the policy was a midway policy. It wasn't policy that was planned around the farming period. If I know as a farmer that government is going to import maize, it means that I would probably know how to manage my risk. I won't go and spend so much on planting and then having to sell it at half the price. That is
Yeah.
not encouraging. So policy stability is actually critical, but even when there's need for a policy change, it needs to be able to be sensitive enough to identify the impact of the micro elements that are participating in the sector. If we're having to maybe import, for example, you would have to check what is the impact of this for the farmer, what is the
Mm.
impact of this for the inputs producers, what is the impact of this for the off-takers who will be using it for their factories for producing feeds or cornflakes or whatever it is they're using it for. So there has to be that micro level analysis that helps us to know. Because if, for example, you are financing farmers and today the farmer is incurring loss, it means that your fund is at risk. You're not able to recover
Okay.
because the farmer does not have the power to repay back. So it's
Mm.
very, very critical that policies are structured in a form that does not only fix short-term problems but also fix long term. So you need to be able to check, because what farmers, the information or the sentiments we have is that farmers be like, I'd rather go for high value chain produce that I know that
Yeah.
any able to recover, and that
Okay.
also
Yeah.
poses that risk. It has that domino effect that it would also maybe create other issues in the long run. So
Mm.
some policies would have short-term impact, but it would have long-term impact as well. So that review analysis is also very, very critical. So yeah, also I talked about the financing model that I said it has to be very, very sensitive to the market players. And also if we can have blended finance, would reduce the cost of financing significantly. You don't expect farmers to go loan money at, let's say, 33%, and then maybe they also have high cost of input. They have to buy fertilizer at a very expensive rate. So those are things that needs to be reviewed. How do you ensure that there's funding that is channeled to farmers and will be able to help them to thrive and survive, so that would have a future that will have, maybe we'll start talking about shared prosperity, so that we won't have one sector over empowered and the other sector, having to suffer the consequence of the policies.
Mm. No, so that's I like how you have highlighted some of the changes that can be done by virtue of the necessary policies being in place, right? So, and also the next question will be based off of your own experience as a finance, expert, and just working alongside farmers across different value chains within agriculture. If there were like two or three major policies, what would you say those policies should be hinged on? If there were like two or three major policies for stakeholders listening to this, what would you say those policies should be hinged on?
Okay, so one of the critical thing, we've said in the opening discussions that collateral is a big problem for farmers' rights. So
Yes,
we
yeah.
need to work around leveraging the use of warehouse receipt, for example, to
Okay.
be able to, because there's this bill on warehouse receipt that is still pending.
Okay.
If that bill goes live, it means that the crop in the farmer's hand becomes a collateral for them to be able to get loans. It becomes
Mm.
an asset um, products, because even when I was interacting with a few women over the past week, some of them said because of the seasonality around what they produce, some seasons they have a lot, other
Yeah.
seasons they don't have cash. They've tied it up in that inventory. So
Yeah.
if they are able to is repeal that law and make it to reality, what the farmer is able to do is that they can store their commodity, use leveraging how do I call it, warehouses that are accredited, and also leverage on technology. So that way,
Okay.
the identity of the person you're loaning to. You
Yeah.
also are able to monitor inventory, the shelf life of the inventory, and you're able to structure financing around that. So the
Okay.
e-warehouse receipts would be a powerful instrument to ensure that that also works. And also, we also need some level of agri specific credit lines, so
Mm.
that need for that is that it needs to be at least one that is reflective of the reality, and it mustn't be a long-term loan, but one that mirrors the seasonality and also checks for the risk in the sector. So if
Yeah.
you're able to have this kind of infrastructure, that would also help. But they will also need to find a way to even kind of aggregate data in a centralized form, because currently what we have is fragmented data and it doesn't help us project and plan for the reality we have. So there are a few private stakeholders who are collating data. The one from the key stakeholders and the government, sometimes it's lagging. You get
Mm.
sometimes you'd have maybe 2 years ago data. It's not recent because they're not leveraging on technology. If they're able to leverage on technology, we could move from maybe a 2 years lag to maybe worst case scenario, maybe 1 month, 2 months lag. You're dealing with recent data.
Yeah.
There's how it really helps. And also we can also try to encourage digital credit scoring using transaction histories. you know
Yeah.
yeah, so that would also help if you have the records from inputs, input suppliers, what's the production they've done, what's the sales data like. Also, you need to also get data of what the buyers, the off-takers, what are they using those raw materials from the farm for. And also they can also leverage money, mobile money platforms for monitoring credits, the digital credit score,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't like to mention names, but a lot of them actually lend to farmers today. So if we can leverage on repayments, how are they repaying? Who has a 2-star? Who has a 3-star? Rating? Because that way you'll be able to know, yes, this person is bankable. We can lend to the person, and we're certain that the recovery is possible. Then a lot of investment needs to done in mindset shift for the farmers. A lot
Yeah.
of education that goes into that space is on maybe how to farm better, how to produce
Yeah.
a yield. But there's also a mindset shift that is needed for the farmers and the players in the agri value chain, that agriculture is a business. It is not charity.
Yes.
You get, because most of the farmers, even though just maybe a few percentage of them still feel that whenever they get loans, they can easily use it for maybe other things that are outside of the
Yeah.
sector. When repayment is not certain, there's a high likelihood that there won't be sustainability in the process, because once we do it once, twice, and there's high default rate, as a reasonable investor, as a reasonable value value player, you want to mitigate your risk. You will want to
Yeah.
avoid. So
Yes.
building trust, somebody needs to start working on the mindset shift for the farmers, especially that when you're given loan, you need to prove yourself that you're trustworthy, such that next year again you would get another loan. And it shows in shared prosperity, because everyone would do better. If your yields are better, you would have better increased disposable income, and you can even do the things you've always loved to do. But when you burn the bridges, you don't repay your loan, there's a high chance that the banks will now be like, yes, we told you earlier that this was a problem. You see, so those are some of the things somebody needs to start working around, that mindset shift. The agriculture is a business, and the farmers can help us build a trust system that we're trying to build.
Uh, I like the part where you talked about like that mindset shift actually has to happen because they need to see it as a business, not necessarily just like a charity thing. That's really really remarkable. So moving forward, what roles would you say like partnerships? What roles can be played through partnerships with either the bank, government sectors, and even agribusiness players in
Yeah.
building a stronger agricultural ecosystems? What roles do you think these individual institutions can play for that?
Okay. So there's a lot of things that can be done, right? And there's the part where they can actually do a lot of public private kind of partnerships. So that would also help to understand the issues that are around the sector, it would help us to build real time and better partnerships. But one of the key, another thing that can be done is improving the infrastructures around the sector, right?
Mm-hmm.
Currently, people are trying to see how they can extend the shelf life of the things they are producing. So we need to start thinking, okay, so if we're trying to extend the shelf life, then we need to start thinking, okay, how do we invest in the drying process, when you're drying, because how dry your commodity is, for some of the things we operate in our market, we like them dry. So that helps to extend their shelf life. For corn, for
Right.
example, if I keep fresh maize, it's most likely to go bad. But if I start
Yes.
working the proper drying process, that means I would have less post-harvest loss, right? So if we
True.
can have investment in infrastructure in that space, and that would also help, during harvest, you have maybe mechanized threshers. It could be small technology, it mustn't be something huge, it might be smart technology, something small that helps to ease the burden, and also there can be provision of infrastructure. If you understand farming very well, still we're not in the commercialized phase yet. So a lot of times the farmers are in the rural areas, and especially for the
True.
women. I like to advocate for women a lot. They
Yeah.
face two labor day in one day. So they have to wake up
Mhm.
early, go to the stream, fetch water, cook for the family, and do all of that, or fetch firewood, then go to the farm again to farm. So if there can be infrastructure around, maybe providing maybe water supply to them, they don't have to go to the stream. That work alone, can help them channel their energy better. If they have access to electricity, that means they will probably be able to do other things that they would normally do manually, So
Yeah.
investing in infrastructure for them, basic infrastructure. Then
Yeah.
another thing is providing access to quality storage systems. If that is also done, it means that beyond keeping the inventory in the warehouse without understanding how to fumigate and all, if they can just after harvest take it to a certified warehouse where the proper quality and quantity procedure are being followed, there's a
Yeah.
likelihood that there's a reduction in post-harvest losses, because the maize won't be stored on the ground, they'll be stored on
Yeah.
pallets, you know. And when it comes to infestation, they're in the certified warehouses, they'll be able to fumigate, and then you can have someone monitor the process. So if we have government investing in such kind of infrastructure and providing the maybe manpower, or maybe partnering with other
Yeah.
private sectors to be able to provide, especially in communities that have commercially viable quantity, you'll be able to find ways to also reduce, because the losses, according to records, is like almost between 37 to almost 60% post-harvest loss. So if
That's
that
a
alone
lot.
can be reduced, yes, it has the chances of improving their welfare, improving their economic conditions, So that is also a critical thing the government can do. And also, when it comes to providing timely and quality inputs, most times government initiatives actually lag behind the season of farming. You're
Mhm.
disbursing, the typical farmer leverages on rain-fed farming. Just a few of them do irrigation. Now, if you supposed to start farming in May, April or May, and you're getting input in September, one, it's not possible for you to use it for that farming season. And before the
Mm.
next farming season, it will probably get kicked,
Mm.
especially fertilizer. Then it means that also the government can retrieve maybe the funding, they can't get back the funding they've really needed to run the circle again, because of on the disbursement is not timely. So it's like
Yeah.
setting yourself to fail. So timely disbursement of the input is critical. Let the input start moving March, April, worst case scenario, they get it, and they time it to maybe apply in June, or July. that alone will increase the food security situation because you're disbursing the timely. And then
Yeah.
yeah so recently I was going through a research, and I found out that not all crops require all the standard fertilizer types. So also
Yeah.
producing and supporting the production of fertilizer that are specific, to
Uh-huh.
each
Produce.
yeah, crop type, and also educating farmers around it also can also be useful. But we also need to collect the data, the information that will help us carry out this decision, and that information must be real time. It mustn't lag. So, but I believe strongly that investing in technology would help us to move from like where we are today to the level that is desired. So there's a lot that can be done, and also we've talked about the aspect of maybe providing fair enough interest rates. One that is not matching inflation rates, because
Yeah.
what happens is that it's in and out, and then the net position is zero. So those are
Mhm.
also critical considerations to be made.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing those insights. I know fully
Yeah.
well that you are a well-grounded finance expert that has also executed a couple of projects around financing for agriculture, right? And so,
Yes.
based off of your expertise, how do you sort of balance profitability with social impact when it comes to like designing finance systems for agricultural projects?
Okay. So there are different elements to it, right?
Okay.
There's the elements where actually leveraging technology, and leveraging technology is what has helped us to when COVID struck, it was easy for us to actually continue what we were doing, without having to shut down the system, because we could work with ERPs, we could work with the structures we've put in place.
Yeah.
So that has really, yeah, that has really helped, So, but another thing that has really helped us in that space is that, sorry, I lost my trail of thought. Please confirm the question again, please.
Okay. So the question is, I was
Mm.
saying that I know that you worked on a lot of impact projects
Project.
as regards agriculture.
Yeah,
You manage a lot of
yeah,
people, and
yeah.
so I was saying, how do you sort of design a project, a finance system that ensures that that project is, in somewhat, is profitable and still has the element of social impact within it? So it's not the
Oh,
scale is not tilted just towards impact, and
yes.
there's no profitability.
Ability. Yes, please. Okay, so we've leveraged on some of the SDGs, right? And that has also been part of the driver for us. Part of example is that we ensured inclusion for women in some of the projects we've done. We'll find who are the women who are championing things, progress in their own space. And we have this cooperative that has maybe had moved from a 20-member cooperative to having over 5,000 women in it. And that is one way we've been able to be focused on impacts, that even when we are scaling, that we have that female element in our inclusion strategies, because
Yeah.
that's an impact level, you know. And then also, when we come to having strategic partners, we find out, okay, what are the key problems that the people are facing? Who is willing to finance in this space? So we'll find out who are the development partners that are actually working in this place. What can they finance? When we come to irrigation farming, what do they need? Do they need pumps? Who can we partner with to give us subsidized pumps? And also when it comes to maybe getting NGOs that are playing in the health sector, a farmer needs to be strong before they can actually farm. So partner with people in the health sector, maybe to give maybe cost of health services to the farmers. So we will leverage on partnership a lot. That way we're able to not just deliver on our own profitability targets, but also impact the farmers as well. And we've been able to structure a program around input financing, right? So we
Okay.
understand that in April or May, the farmer needs inputs to farm, but the farmer
Mhm.
is broke. So we partner with maybe banks and all to be able to get funds, and then we leverage on our market too. We're able to
Okay.
mop up capital from our market through structured financial instruments. So we're able to
Mm.
get from capital market through our marketplace, and we're able to channel it to input financing. Through that, the farmer is able to get timely inputs. So it is like killing um, two birds with a stone, because we're able to, one, give them access to quality and timely inputs, and at the same time they're able to go back to increase outputs, and then we'll have improved food security for the economy. So this is us leveraging on the platforms we have to be able to also, so we leverage on technology as well. Then, like I said also earlier, that our technology platform, which is actually proprietary, has helped
Yeah.
us to, yeah, kind of build what we call the credit history of a lot of farmers, because year in, year out, when we're given this input financing, we know who is a farmer who is paying fast, who is a farmer who isn't paying fast. So we're able to have like a um, credit history of the farmer,
Yeah.
which can leverage on when they are financing. They know who they are financing to, and also it helps us to kind of create traceability. Because
Mhm.
if we were talking about in the cocoa space today, the players are very interested in where did this crop come from.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
also have like a batch code system that helps us to also do some sort of traceability. You can put the barcode on the bags, and wherever it goes, the origin of the of the produce. In addition to that as well, we have different initiatives that has helped us to kind of provide how do I put it, has enabled us to provide both impact and also helped us also remain profitable. And most of it is leverage on these three key pillars of having technology at the backbone of what we do, and also ensuring that we don't work alone. We are very collaborative in nature, and then we're
Mhm.
also very innovative in nature, because we're able to see what's changing, and we're able to adapt, to the changing scenarios we
Wow.
have.
Wow. That's incredible. Really, really
Yeah.
incredible. So, speaking of, designing projects and, prior projects you've sort of worked on, my next question to you is, if you could sort of redesign the agricultural financing system from scratch,
Yeah.
what would be like three elements you would say these are non-negotiable? They just have to be on that system.
Okay. So there are three things I could do to change the scenario. Would be to first of all, work around building the sector and ensuring that people are able to leverage blended finance.
So when you say
Leveraging.
blended finance, what exactly is blended finance for someone that's just joining that doesn't know what blended finance is?
Okay, not having finance from one source, because one source
Okay.
finance will be, one will be high, the other will be low. But if you have a mixture of
Mm.
different sorts of financing, maybe grants and other things, it will be able to help you maybe have like a leverage, the benefits of reduced costs. So if you
Yeah.
have maybe grants from one source to reduce the expense from one sector or one
Yeah.
segment of your business, and then you've got financing maybe from the banks or from whatever channel. So you can leverage different sources, to be able to promote what you do. So
Okay.
yes, blended finance would be critical. Another thing that can be done is to have end-to-end risk management infrastructure. Today, we're talking about climate risk, we're talking about price risk, we're talking about infrastructure inadequacy. So working in that space, on working around reducing the risk, so today, like I said, the farmer's cost of the output of the farmer cannot buy him fertilizer. That's the scenario we
True.
have today. So if a farmer is having to sell lower than what he or she is able to buy even inputs, that means he's in the negative already. So we need
Yeah.
to be able to have a change in, like I said, review of the policies, So we need to, when bringing in policy, we need to map it and check what are the risk elements, and see who in the value chain will suffer from it, who would gain. How do you
Mm,
de-risk the people who would suffer from it so they don't have to go through so much loss. So that end-to-end mapping is also very critical. And then
yeah.
also, if we can have that digitized credit scoring, it will be very, very, very critical, because that would help to ensure that the farmer is able to the farmer is able to have his records on the map and the trajectory of the government. They're working with data insight and not just like I said, fragmented data. So building that robust infrastructure or leveraging, you can leverage. There's a way you can integrate the government platform with that of the fintechs. If you know the farming location, you're able to integrate into those data in those locations through the fintech app. We now be like, oh, okay, this is what these people are using their money for. This is how their repayment is. You'll be able to carve how do I put it? Programs that will be very, very sustainable. You leveraging data. So if we can have digitized credit scoring system, the banks can also believe strongly that whatever they are investing will not go into the drain, and they have
Mm,
the high chance of getting their funds recovered. So first, we need to work around providing end-to-end risk infrastructure. We need to work around providing a digitized credit scoring system or a data pool, and also we need to also work around the initial policies we've highlighted. Thank you.
mm. Fantastic, fantastic. I think speaking of data, I think one of the um, companies I think that's working a lot around data is like AgroLink, Joseph Baba, Joseph
Mhm,
Fashola. I've had him
mhm.
on a podcast prior. So they do a lot of stuff around data for agriculture specifically. I think
Yeah,
AgroLink,
yeah,
yeah. Joseph Fashola, that's his name.
yeah.
Okay, so this will be like my final question to you, which is geared towards like young aspiring agropreneurs, agribusiness experts, and leaders. So, what would be your advice to a young professional who wants to build a career that is somewhat at the intersection of finance, technology, and agriculture? What are like the major things you feel like they have to have like weapons in their arsenal? What do you think they should do?
Okay. So one key thing is actually working around, first of all, leveraging on Internet of Things. Um,
IoT.
we, yes, today we talk about the precision farming. We talk about vertical farming. We talk about other things like drone farming and all. There are new technologies that are actually upcoming. I visited a school one time on a career day to ask who wants to be a farmer, and half of the students in the room were like, no, not me. When I asked them who has eaten today, everybody had eaten. Who's gonna have
Yeah.
lunch? Everybody raised their hands, and I told them, so who's gonna be the future farmer that will produce that? And that's
Mm,
where a lot of them now realize that there's actually opportunity in the space, because where the challenge is where there's more likely to be opportunities. Population is growing. Nigeria is set to grow to over 200 million. The world population is targeting over 800 billion. So you can see that there is opportunity coming. But I know that we love soft life. My kids, I tell them they are generation AI. They want to do everything is, So how do we channel this energy towards agriculture? you know.
Mm.
This guy Samson Obole, the wizard
Yeah.
farmer. I admire him a lot because the things he's doing is soilless farm. He's thinking about the things that normal farmers are not thinking. So you can see that when it comes to the literate people, you can also then leverage on technology. Leverage on technology to see how you can use it to solve the problems of agriculture. There are people who are fabricating dryers.
Yeah.
Um, Yes, I traveled one time. I was in Chicago and they gave me mangoes, dried mangoes. I'm like, we have it in excess. So,
Mm.
that alone ensures that mango is in season all year round. And one of my friend, she's got a she's sim case food. She what she does is that she walks around extending the shelf life of tomato and all the
Mm.
perishable. So those are the kind of things you can do. And once you've started this, funding will come. Focus on identifying a challenge in the sector. What FX has done over time is, what is the challenge? Access to finance. We try to provide solution around it. Access to
Yeah.
quality storage. We try to provide solution around it. So how do I put it? The solution is in the problem. So you have to look inward and see. Then, aside leveraging on Internet of Things, you can leverage on data. Data would tell you where are the bottlenecks, who is suffering what is. We also already know that there's almost 100 billion gap in financing to agriculture in sub-Saharan Africa. So how do
Yeah.
you provide solution around financing? Then you need to build your network ahead. What's why here talking is because perhaps one day you looked up my profile. I'm like, this person, and then has potential. So you need to actually build your network ahead before you start needing them. And some
Mm.
of us, like, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. You rather stay indoors and scroll through the streets of Instagram. Channel energy right. Yes, I put a blog on my Instagram page. Once it's that limit, it just tells me the time is up and I can't
Yeah.
access that. I deleted Facebook app because everybody is trying to monetize Facebook now. People are posting household. Yeah, so for me, I feel that I can channel my energy better. So I put up some sort of control,
Yeah.
sorry, there was interruption in my network. So you need
Okay.
to start working around attending strategic events, events that are, be in the room where the people are discussing ideas, people are discussing initiatives, people are not just maybe it's okay to socialize, but please focus on the future. Where do you want to be in the future, and how are you building that future? So the people who want to, the youth who want to do agri businesses, they need to start being in the rooms that such
Yeah.
agri discussions are happening, and build a network. Because if you're able to know who is the input provider, you're able to know who is into technology, you're able to know who is into providing access to market. That way you can leverage, collaborate in the future when you need collaboration, because you've built the network. So that is very, very critical. And then mindset shifts, around agriculture is very, very critical. And I see a lot of founders actually going into the market every time to I don't know, it's like every Ike market day, but we need to also start building financial literacy skills, that helps you to understand that you are into a business and you need to build structures, you need to build frameworks that ensure that you're actually producing what matters and not just sourcing for funds for the sake of sourcing for fund, but you're channeling it into what will be sustainable. Because just
Mm.
like they say, the cheese is moving, right?
Yeah.
What if the source of that goes, you keep searching for new funds, but you can actually create an unending pool of funds if you really do the work, as against just sourcing for funds that will not be kind of channeled into the source that is the purpose with which it was raised. So please, and beyond that, also agriculture is beyond farming, right? There's the agribusiness side of things. Like I was telling those children that there's someone who's into the data side of it. There's someone who is
Okay.
into research side of it. There's someone who's into it, the farming itself, and having commercial farm and all is also the future. And also there are people who are into, like for me, I would say I'm a farmer because but I've been working in the agri space, and my impact is obvious because now providing all the services, PD payments, providing platforms, even as an entity alone has helped to
Yeah.
impact the sector in a great deal. So we need to start thinking not in a laser way, but also maybe in a broader way. Look at the
Yeah.
sector, look at what's in the news, what's happening in other parts of the world. How can we create our own local solutions? Like for us, when we're trying to build access to market platform, we couldn't find the one that fits the market that we want. And someone had to build the technology for us, and it's local.
Mhm.
So they could position themselves as the ones that build the technology, and that's another way they can add to it. So look at it from a maybe a broader view. What are the key things? Someone can even position themselves. When Pula started in 2014, Rose would always come to our office in Abuja, and I saw Rose. Rose today, she's in almost all the African countries providing insurance for farmers. Polar
Mm.
advisors, yeah, so you can start look for a challenge. If farmers are maybe having losses, and you can come in to reduce the losses for them, that's a niche you can carve for yourself. Create a niche for yourself and become a thought leader in that space, and keep saying it. Somebody is watching, and when opportunity comes, you will just kill. So when you prepare ahead as a youth, there's a high chance that when opportunity comes, they will say you are blow. So it's very important, yes, that you try to build a network that really matters. And I know the future will be bright for us all.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing those really important salient points you just shared. And I think that talking about the fact that agriculture is beyond just farming. That's a
Yeah,
very good way to put it because I recently um what's it called? So next month I'm having like a conference next month,
interesting,
and
interesting.
yeah, I have a conference next month, and the conference is just geared towards unveiling diverse opportunity within agriculture for like
Yeah,
young people, undergraduates, and recent graduates, so that people sort of know about these things. And I like how you talk about the various professions that are within agriculture. So you don't necessarily have to take the tools and hold. You could do something. I remember I interviewing the guy, the founder of Coconut. I think he's a mechanical engineer from one of the Southwest universities that
yeah,
fabricated, invented the husking and deshelling machine for coconuts. So he has a
absolutely.
machine, yeah, that you don't have to like use cutlass anymore to like remove the husk and remove the shell of the coconut. He
Soft
has a
life,
machine.
soft life.
Yeah, so that's just like one of the examples of such things that you just sort of highlighted. So thank you so much for stating that. And like I would say, I feel like you are one of the persons that have also shown that even though you're a finance professional, you have a key stakeholder role within agriculture, because over the years the work that you have done has sort of exemplified that. So
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. Yeah,
Thank you.
honestly. So, yeah, for me, I've leveraged on first. I got a job because I could speak Hausa. You get. So language was one soft skill that helped me because most of the people who were
Mhm.
we were
Mm.
talking to the traders, the farmers were all Hausa speaking. So that was the
Mhm.
first leverage for me. Then, as
Mm.
an economist, numbers was not hard for me to relate with. I could easily relate with P times Q and all. Then the icing on the cake was I'd spent 5 years in customer experience. So when So when I'm dealing with the traders, I'm dealing with the buyers. Sometimes you'd have volumes of transaction, but the way you would approach the tonality and all really came very handy. So that really
Yeah.
helps me to even today when you're shouting, I would manage you and you would be happy even if you don't get your money. You get so the
Mm,
my boss, two of them are engineers, but when they
mm,
bring their engineering insight into everything, the first thing we do is we draw. We
mm,
draw. So the
mm.
thing is, no experience is a waste, and it's even good that you bringing your experience from outside the sector helps to change the dynamic because you'll be like, that is hard life, but I want soft life. So the
Yeah.
opportunities are in the challenges. What are the challenges? So honestly, you're doing the right thing. I'm looking forward to getting more details about the events you've talked about.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And you sort of spoke about when you talked about that agriculture is beyond farming. I'm going to be launching my agricultural book. I have other books, but this is like the agriculture, my first agricultural book, which is titled It's actually titled Agriculture Beyond Farming: A Pathway to Economic Prosperity. That's
Yeah.
the book title, A Pathway to Economic Prosperity. So the essence of the book is just to help young Africans, young Nigerians see the possibility within it. So a lot of the conversations we've had today is just touching on those
Yeah.
points. And so yes.
Yeah.
So I'm
Because
really excited.
we need the media side to project what is happening in agriculture. We need somebody to
Yeah.
write about what is happening in the space. We need someone, a storyteller, to tell the stories.
That's
you
what
know,
I'm
so
doing. That's what I'm doing. I think you are my 47th episode of speakers that I've had. Because okay, the thing is, the interesting thing is, I studied agricultural economics, right? But I currently work in education consulting, right?
no.
And for some strange reasons, last year I just having the feel to sort of come back to agriculture, and I was like, okay,
Yeah,
what exactly am I going to come and do here?
you're
It's
doing
like
fun.
I think I
You're
think I
doing
think I
fun.
think I might not go straight to the farm, but I think I could do media. I think I could do
Yeah.
storytelling. So
Yes.
I feel like for me, just starting it out was I wanted to be able to show young Africans and young people what is possible within the sector. Because once they see
Yeah.
people that look like them, that are like them, doing tremendous things, they're not
Absolutely.
fixated on just the farmer in Jigawa or the farmer in
Hmm.
Yobe or the farmer. They're seeing people that are okay. I want to associate with this person. This person is thriving.
Yes.
So I've had a lot of people across, not just
Absolutely.
Nigeria, across Africa. I've had Jahel,
Mm.
the founder of Hello Tractor, Kenya. I've had him.
Yeah.
I've had,
We've partnered
yeah,
with them in the
yeah.
past.
Oh, fantastic. I've had
Yeah.
um, the Olariwaju is like a private agro extension officer that has like off branches in Nigeria and Niger. I've had him on. Have had Fashola, like I mentioned, the AgroLink guy. Like, he's just doing a lot of work around
Yes.
data, agriculture. I've
Yeah.
had him.
Honestly.
I have a lot of really amazing people. I've even had like professors, researchers from Europe
Ooh.
as well, podcast
You
as
see?
well. People doing
So
things
you're doing
around.
marvelous. Yeah. Yeah. So whatever
So for me,
keeps you sleepless, you can leverage it and channel the energy towards agriculture. I mean, the future is bright, the opportunities are endless, and with population growth, it's gonna be mind blowing. The successes. There's money in agriculture. There's money. There's money.
I like that part of it. I like that part of it. So thank you so much, Lady Nancy. It's just been an insightful and enlightening and inspiring conversation with you today. I think you're the very first finance person I'm having, and I like all the insights you are giving, helping
Yes,
us
please. We
deconstruct
need
this.
more.
Because I think that's like
Yeah.
a major issue advancing. It's like a major issue that people have as regards agriculture and things. And so thank you so much for shedding a lot of light on it. And for anybody that is listening on and people that will sort of watch the replay that sort of wants to access the service that your organization provides, how can they go about that?
Okay, they can actually send an email or drop us a
Okay.
message on www.africaexchange www.africaexchange.com
Okay.
or
Okay.
send an email. Yeah,
Then put it in the chat. African Exchange.
www.africaexchange. Yes.
Okay.
Or they can send an email to customer service at africaexchange.com. That also, yes, that helps.
I think if they go to the website, they should be able to get
Yes,
like contact details if they prefer to call, right?
yes. Please, the
All
contact
right.
detail is there as well. Thank you so much. And they can also
No
drop me a
problem.
message on my LinkedIn page,
All
Nancy
right.
Olisakwe. Yes, please. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
so I'll just add it as well. So guys, I've put it in the chat. You could connect with them via their website. Via the website. Okay. Right. So yeah. All right. So I have it in the chat. So current listeners and even people that will watch the replay will have access to you guys directly. And let me add yours, like connect with her on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been a
Okay, you're doing
it's been a delight having you
yeah.
today. So much. Thank you.
Super proud of the work you do and the platform you've created. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Do have a lovely weekend ahead.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you for staying with us from the beginning of the session till the end. As mentioned, I'm having a conference. I think from next week I'll start putting out the flyers on I'm having an event, our first African Integrative and Cultural Network virtual conference. It's virtual because I want to be able to access diverse young Africans and undergrad and recent graduates, innovators, and sustainability enthusiasts across the continent for the event. And so the event is slated for next month. More details will be shared shortly. And also, like I said, next month as well, I'll be launching my first agricultural book, my first. I like the way when I say first because I'm probably gonna have multiple books. So stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel so that the message is spread across to more people that need to hear it, as well as please do share, like, and engage with the content so that we are able to have more and more people access this valuable information. But all the same, thank you for staying with us from this time till the end of the episode today. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Next week, they're going to be having another phenomenal guest. Trust me, we're going to have another phenomenal guest. And also next week, I'm going to be sharing more details about the virtual conference, how you can sort of register for it, how you can be part of it. It's going to be free. It's going to be free. It's going to be free. It's 100% online, and it's going to be a tremendous event. Yeah, and it's something I'm looking forward to. Something I'm looking forward to. So, thank you guys. LinkedIn. Let me just add Lady Nancy's details on LinkedIn. Connect uh, with our guest on LinkedIn. Yeah. So connect with our guest on LinkedIn if you have any further inquiries. Let me just put her name, Nancy. Excuse me, Nancy. All right. So, guys, thank you for staying from the beginning of this episode to the end. I look forward to having you here with me next week as well. Do have a phenomenal weekend, and God bless. Bye for now.